Well, it's August. We are reading Jurassic Park. Let's do this. Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. Here we go. If you weren't aware, you probably know by now because of the little picture thing that I showed at the beginning of the video. I'm doing the Michael Crichton read along, and I originally got this from a channel here called Mike's Book Reviews. And great channel. I highly recommend you check him out. He does a lot of great book reviews, surprisingly enough. But he started something earlier this year called the Michael Crichton reread because he's read, I think, pretty much all of these books before. I have read very few of these before, so I just call it the read along. So anyway, the whole list of the books that we're going to be reading, it's one a month. It was right there at the beginning of this video. And this month, August, is Jurassic Park. So about it being August, today's actually August 31st, so you probably won't see this video until a little bit into September. My schedule has been absolutely crazy. I finished this book 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I just haven't, for a couple of reasons, I haven't recorded this video yet. Part of it is like, I wasn't sure what to say, and I'll get into that more in a minute, but like, this book was, it's just hard to even, I don't know what to say. But also just my schedule's been really hectic. I'm back at work, and so I've just have had hardly any time to record any videos. So I apologize if, to the two of you out there who are actually who are actually watching these. And so what was I going to say? And so I'm recording it today, last day of August, but I mean, hopefully I'll have time to edit this sometime this week, and it'll be out like hopefully within a week. I'll try. So anyway, let's jump into it. Jurassic Park. So my first thoughts as I started the book were that it was very fun to read this because it's a bit different than the movie. I guess I should back up and explain. I've seen the movie quite a few times. It's my wife's, like, one of her very top number one favorite movies. And so, I mean, she's seen it like 200 times. I've seen it several times. So I'm very familiar with the movie. And so starting the book, it was very interesting to see some of the differences. And so I feel like most of what I'm going to have to say, I do feel it is sort of in relation to the movie. So one of the first things that I noticed is that the book starts with like a series of just quick sort of snippets from different areas around Costa Rica where people are being attacked by these strange new lizards, these small lizards. And we find out later that these are the compies, the little green ones. They're like the size of a chicken. And we see right from the beginning that they are not on the island. And the book keeps it a little bit of a mystery for the first, I don't know, maybe 100 pages or something, or 150 pages. Keeps it a little bit of a mystery as to like what's actually going on this island. But of course, this is an older book. It's from 1990. And if you have seen the movie, or even if you just look at the cover of the book, or think about the name of the book, you know what's going on the island. So it's not really a mystery. Anyway, apparently a bunch of compies have gotten off the island. They're in Costa Rica, and they are biting children. And so the whole, first, I don't know, 30, 40 pages of the book is just like these different little scenes from around the area, and different doctors and scientists being like they're thinking like, oh, is this like a new species of lizard? Like, what's going on? And in typical Michael Crichton fashion, because of some problems with technology or miscommunications, they're never really able to get to the bottom of things until later in the book. One quick note that I thought was really interesting, in the second movie, the scene where like there's that rich family and they're having like a picnic on the beach and the little girl gets attacked by the little green compies, right? That's in the second movie. That's right at the beginning of the first book. And I'm happy to say that in the first book, she does not die. I think in the movie she dies, or it's kind of left ambiguous, like you're not really sure. In the book, she doesn't die. She just gets bitten on her arm several times, but she ends up being okay. So as a father of small children, that was nice to see that she was okay. A few interesting things that I thought, it's just kind of fun to read them, were a lot of the characters were just sort of different than in the movie, like physically, like their descriptions. For example, Alan Grant, sort of the main guy, he's in his 40s, barrel-chested, and has a big beard. And he wears like Hawaiian shirts and jeans all the time. And I don't know why they changed this for the movie. Well, I guess I kind of can see why they changed it. But it specifically says in the book that he loves kids. He like hangs out with Lex and crap, what's the kid? Tim. he hangs out with like Lex and Tim a lot, and he's like very fatherly and friendly, and like he enjoys kids in the book. He has a lot of fun talking to the kids. In the movie, he's like very like he doesn't like kids. One thing that the movie definitely did get right is that Alan Grant does not like technology. You know, he's not good with computers or anything. He doesn't understand any of that stuff. So Alan Grant, you know, he's like middle aged, and then Ellie Sattler, who in the movie is about his same age, and they have like a relationship going on. Ellie in the book is 24 years old, and she's like this young sort of hot thing that like all the guys are always staring at when she's not looking. And Grant just finds this hilarious because like Gennaro, I don't know if he had to say that his name that way. Gennaro, the lawyer, Ian Malcolm, like they're all just kind of looking at her legs all the time because she wears these shorts. And Alan Grant is just like these guys. Ian Malcolm was pretty much dead on, except in the book he's balding. I really, you know, I'll talk about Ian Malcolm later because I really, he was my favorite character in the book for sure. Tim and Lex in the book, they're actually sort of reversed. Lex is only 7 years old, and Tim is like 11. I think he's 11. So Tim is the older one, and you know Tim, he's like a big dinosaur buff, just like in the movie, and like he knows all this stuff about dinosaurs. Lex, like in the movie, is more into sports and stuff, but she's the younger one. And Lex drove me crazy, you guys. Lex is like the worst. Oh my gosh, she's 7 in the book, right? So like you can't blame her too much. But like she almost gets them killed so many times. So many times. And it's not till like halfway through the book when somebody finally tells her, shut up. Because she won't stop crying or screaming or just talking. And you're like, you know we're being hunted by dinosaurs. Like, shut your mouth. Ah, drove me nuts. The lawyer, Gennaro, he's actually, I think he's in his like mid-20s. And he's described as being like pretty muscular. He's like kind of this buff guy. And in the movie, he's like, again, middle-aged, sort of like an office type dork kind of, not dork, but you know, just sort of like an office type guy, not particularly in great shape. But in the book, apparently he's like this buff guy. John Hammond is pretty much just like in the movie. Nedry is pretty much just like in the movie, although I think he's a lot younger in the book. Tim thinks that he's a college student, so yeah, I guess he's quite a bit younger in the book than he is in the movie. Other than that, I think most of the characters are pretty dead on. John Arnold, Mr. Arnold, played by Samuel L. Jackson in the book. He's a chain smoker. He smokes a ton, just like in the movie. So like they got that detail right. So anyway, just the setup I thought was just kind of sort of fun and interesting to see the differences. None of them bothered me. None of them I thought were like good or bad. Or it was just like this is the original that Michael Crichton wanted to display, and these are the original characters he made up with. I thought some of the choices for the casting were interesting, but also great. Like the movie's fantastic. So I don't really have a problem with any of those casting choices. Just found them interesting. So let me talk about Ian Malcolm. Ian Malcolm, played by Jeff Goldblum in the movie, he is a mathematician who specializes in chaos theory. He's a chaotician from Texas, and he wears all black, just like in the movie. In the book, he's like, no, I only wear black and gray. It's like all he ever wears. So in the movie, he's got a bunch of lines that are sort of, in a way, they're like little catchphrases, like life finds a way and stuff like that, you know? I really enjoyed his lines in the book because he actually explains so much more in the book. Like he actually goes into chaos theory and explains like what it is and why it shows that the park is not going to work, and why, just how it works, and like what all of in the movie he's just like, yeah, it's not going to work because of chaos. Yeah, it's just chaos. It's not going to work. And you're like, okay, but like, okay, is that, like, especially as a kid, I always just heard that and I was like, okay, I guess like you're just trying to say that like we can't control anything and so it's just chaos. But actually, no, chaos theory is like a real branch of mathematics, and Ian Malcolm does a great job of explaining it in several different ways in several different scenes throughout the book, and I just really enjoyed that. I teach math at the high school level, so some of it was, quite a bit of it was over my head, but I enjoyed it. My only real complaint is that a lot of Ian Malcolm's lines, they were sort of just like diatribes, like monologues, and he goes off and he has like several paragraphs in a row where he explains all this stuff, and it's like sort of like flawless logic. Nobody speaks like that. Like in this video, I've already messed up a bunch of times. I say and I pause and I have to think, and like his dialogue, it's like he's just speaking and it's like a speech. Like it's very well prepared and thought out. And sometimes as you're reading it, you're like, nobody talks like this, like nobody speaks like this. Come on. That was my only complaint, though. Really, everything else I really loved. Ian Malcolm, John Hammond, the old guy who runs the park, who owns the park. Man, he's a bit different in the book. He's really portrayed as more. I don't know if I should say a villain. He's more of an antagonist in a lot of ways. And it's not because he wants to be bad or he's trying to screw somebody else over, or he's trying to hurt anybody. It's just that, he wants what he wants, and he kind of doesn't care about the consequences, or he doesn't believe that the consequences will be as bad as everybody's telling him they will be. So Ian Malcolm and John Hammond, they clash a lot. Ian Malcolm is constantly telling him, because of these things, because of these mathematical models that I've showed you, like this place is gonna not go well. Like these dinosaurs are gonna get out. These dinosaurs are gonna escape the island. They're gonna kill people, blah, blah, blah. And Hammond's like, no, we've put all these security measures in place. No, we definitely have this covered. There's nothing to worry about. And he just refuses to see reason. Even after the dinosaurs start escaping, he's like, no, we can still salvage this. And even after they start killing people, he's like, no, this is okay. We can still make this work. And even after like everything is ruined and they have to abandon the park, he's like, okay, we can rebuild. We'll come back. We'll start somewhere else. We'll start fresh and start from scratch, and we'll still do this. He has this dream, and I guess that's to be commended in some ways. Like he refuses to give up. But sometimes you gotta realize that like people are dying because of what you're doing. So yeah, he's actually sort of like a villain antagonist in the book. And in the movie, he's really not portrayed that way. He's just sort of like this old friendly guy who made a mistake, who bit off more than he could chew, basically. Yeah, but in the book, he's like, he's not a good guy. So I'm sorry, this has been just a bunch of like background information, just my sort of reactions to it. I don't think this is gonna be like a real review because I don't know. Everybody knows Jurassic Park, right? Is there anybody out there who doesn't know what Jurassic Park is about? Saying that sort of leads into my reaction to the book overall. I felt like it was a little bit like Andromeda Strain. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I wasn't a big fan. Like, it's good. I enjoyed reading it. At the moment, I was sucked into it, and I was like really, just into the book, into the story. I was excited to see what was going to happen. But in a way, it was kind of good that I had to wait a couple weeks to record this video because it gave me time to process everything. And like just something felt off, especially toward the end of the book, like the last third. I was just like, this is weird. Like something, it just didn't flow. I wasn't really sure how to put my finger on it. And that's part of the reason why I waited so long to record this video, because I just didn't know, like, how can I explain my issues with this book? And then I stumbled upon it, you guys. I stumbled upon a great video by the channel Hello Future Me. He does really good work. Check out his channel if you're into stories and things like that. A lot of his videos are like really long and in-depth, and sometimes they're a little too much for me, to be honest. But this one was great. It was about killing characters, and I'll put a link in the description as well, and I'll put a card up on the screen right now. And it's about killing characters, and I watched this whole thing, and he said something that really resonated with me, and it made me realize why I didn't enjoy Jurassic Park as much as I wanted to. Toward the beginning of the video, he has a whole section that he talks about word choice and how, for example, in a Stephen King book, he'll use a lot of like visceral is the word that Hello Future Me uses. He'll use a lot of like visceral descriptions of like physical bodily functions of like bones snapping or blood gushing and things like that. And it's like, it feels like sickening reading it. Or other authors will use more metaphorical language, and he's talking about death, in this specific instance. Other authors will be using more metaphorical language, and so you understand that a character died, but it's not such a like physical thing. It's more of like a sadness thing. It makes you feel sad. It makes you feel that loss, but it doesn't make you feel like pain or sickness. I'm not explaining it very well, but definitely go check out Tim's video, the Hello Future Me video. Anyway, I realized that I think, and he's obviously a professional author and I'm not, so that I could be way off base, but I think with some changes in word choice, this book could have been really a lot better. There's quite a few scenes, especially my biggest issues were with the T-Rex. So the book is a lot like the movie right up until the T-Rex attack, the first one in the rain, right, with the jeeps and everything. After that, everything kind of goes different. There are multiple scenes where Grant and the kids are floating down a little river in a little lifeboat, and the T-Rex is like trying to get at them. And it's almost presented in like when I read it, I'm like, this is almost like a slapstick thing. Like the T-Rex does not feel scary. It's like this weird, I don't know. I just imagine, I don't even know how to say it. Speaking of word choice, I don't know what to say. Like the T-Rex, it's a paper tiger in these scenes. It's like, oh, it can't even get through the trees to like get at them. Or there's a scene where it does get in the water and swimming at them, and then it like rears up and it tries to bite them, and they just like push it away with the paddle. And I'm like, an alligator would be more dangerous than this. Like, what is going on? So it never felt like they were really in danger with the T Rex. I felt later on with the raptors, I felt like things were happening too fast. Like he just sort of explains like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and it's like again word choice. If you focus maybe on the emotions of the characters, or if you just slowed down a little bit and said, describe the sounds, or describe the I don't know, just describe stuff a little bit more, you know, the reader would have more of an emotional reaction. And I really didn't. I just felt like, okay, so this dinosaur is in the room and the kids are running, and then the dinosaur chases them, and then like the kids get away. And okay, on to the next scene. And that's basically what it was for like quite like 100 pages. And so I don't know. I just didn't like it as much as I wanted to. I did enjoy it, just not as much as I wanted to. Speaking of, jumping from scene to scene, that was my other big problem with toward the end of the book. I did feel like it was very jarring. Like something would be happening, and all of a sudden it would just cut, and then it would jump to like another set of characters. So we'll be with like Grant and the kids, and they'll be running from the T-Rex, and then we'll cut to like John Hammond in the control room, and then he's like yelling at John Arnold to like fix the system, and then we'll cut back to like Ellie Sattler with the veterinarian guy, and they're trying to get away from the raptors, and then we'll cut back to Grant and the kids, and then we'll cut to Ian Malcolm, and he's like injured laying in his bed, and it's like, I don't know, it felt like too quick, the transitions, and it almost gives you sort of like reading whiplash, where you're like, okay, I'm getting into the scene, oh, that scene's over, we're jumping over here, okay, now, oh, this is interesting, oh no, we're done there now too. I don't know, it was just it was frustrating. And it also was a little disorienting, because then when we came back to this certain character, whoever, when we come back to someone, it's like hard to remember where they even were, because we like left them on a cliffhanger. But then when we come back, like they're not there anymore. And it's like, oh, this is an hour later. Like I guess they got out of that situation. And that happened several times. It was sort of annoying. But overall, it's Jurassic Park. It's a great book. It's a great movie. You should definitely check them out. I don't know if there's a lot more that I can say about this, without major spoilers, but the book is different enough from the movie that I would recommend you check it out. It's worth the read. It's a fun book. I own this copy. I'm going to keep it on my shelf. It's not like, I'm not going to get rid of it. I didn't, it's not like I hated it or anything like that. I'll hold on to it. It is a good book. I had fun reading it, and you might too. So I don't know how to end this video. Check it out. Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. Next month, or actually this month, you're watching this is probably already September. So it's certainly already September. We're going to read Rising Sun, and I think I'm going to go get my copy of that from the library today. I don't own that one. So Rising Sun in September. I'll see you then. Jurassic Park. I don't know. Okay, that was dumb.